Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, and yet your life just doesn't move? You visualize, you affirm, you focus, but what you want doesn't come to life. And slowly something inside starts to doubt. Is this even real? Does it work for me? Could there really be an invisible power capable of transforming the reality around me? Maybe you're closer to the answer than you think. And maybe what's blocking your manifestation isn't a lack of faith, but the place you're asking from. Today I want to take you to a blind spot. A place you can't see, but that projects everything. It's not in your mind, it's not in your eyes. It's behind you, hidden, silent yet alive. And it's from that space that your reality begins to take shape. Science knows it now. Ancient spirituality knew it long ago. Joe Dispenza teaches it, and the ancient priestess, Tufti, whispered it centuries ago. There is a spiritual technology within you, and it has nothing to do with positive thinking. If you stay with me, you'll understand why the law of attraction, the way you've been told, is incomplete. You'll realize it's not what you want that creates your life. It's where that wand is coming from. You'll begin to see that your mind, so active, so logical, might actually be the very thing blocking the reality you wish to collapse, and more than that. You'll discover the silent activation point that can change everything, even today. But before we go further, feel something with me, breathe. Observe yourself not intellectually, but energetically. Where is your attention right now? Is it out front in the external world? Is it inside in your chest? Or maybe it's behind you where you never look, where you never feel what few people know. Is that this hidden space maybe your true quantum command center, the place where intention and vibration meet, without noise, where manifestation happens effortlessly? And that's exactly what we're about to explore. If you feel like this message found you at the right time, write in the comments, "I'm ready to activate my invisible power." It's not just a sentence, it's a vibrational commitment, the beginning of a new field you're about to generate. And if this kind of truth resonates with your heart, follow this channel here. The law of attraction returns to its vibrational roots. Here neuroscience bows to practical spirituality. Here your manifestation isn't just a wish, it's a remembering. Let's go together to the end. Because by the time this video ends, you won't be the same. Ancient tradition called it the braid. Modern science, like the neuroscience taught by Joe Dispenza, calls it decentralized energetic focus. Both point to the same place, a center of consciousness that bypasses logic and moves through the body, place that doesn't think, it feels, that doesn't question, it commands. It's right there between your shoulder blades, where the invisible meets the real, where the quantum field responds even before the mind understands. The law of attraction doesn't begin in your head. It begins in the body pulses from the inside out. And it only becomes real once it breaks free from rational expectation. And what if I told you that the more you try, the less happens, because trying often signals doubt. It signals control, and reality doesn't follow force commands. Manifestation doesn't respond to effort. It responds to vibration, and vibration can't be forced. It must be emitted from a place of energetic purity. And that place, that point of origin, isn't where you've been looking. Tufti's braid is a metaphor for this. An invisible projection center, a silent channel that bypasses mental noise and speaks directly to the field, a field that doesn't hear words, feels images. You've heard it before. The universe responds to who you are, not what you want, but maybe now it finally makes sense. Because if you want something but vibrate in doubt, the field reads doubt. If you desire peace but live in anxiety, the field collapses, more chaos. The true law of attraction lies in the coherence between what you imagine and what you feel. And that alignment only happens when you project from the right place. The mind is good for thinking, but unstable for creating. The body, when trained, becomes the true projector of reality. And here's a detail almost everyone misses. The body knows before the mind decides. The body has already emitted, it's already vibrated, it's already communicated. The braid, as a symbol, represents this center of energetic transmission that bypasses judgment. That's why it works, because it doesn't doubt, doesn't think. simply projects, and what it projects is pure, clear, fast. When you activate this center, you send a clear command to the field, and the field as always responds. But then why do so many still fail to manifest? Why do so many study the law of attraction, practice visualization, repeat affirmations, and nothing shifts? The answer may lie in the point of origin. They're emitting from the wrong place. They're using the mind to do the work of the vibrational field, and the field doesn't respond to what's thought. It responds to what's felt, with truth, with presence, with purity. And here in this invisible center behind your back lies the bridge between desire and manifestation, between wanting and receiving, and that bridge is about to be crossed. There's a secret few talk about when it comes to manifestation. It's not enough to want it badly. It's not enough to visualize it clearly. What truly changes reality is the vibrational place from where your intention is born. That's why so many people feel frustrated with the law of attraction, because unknowingly they're trying to control the universe with the mind, when they should be merging with the universe through the body. TUFTI's braid reveals this with precision. Manifestation doesn't come from above. It comes from behind. Comes from the hidden point that doesn't rationalize, it simply directs, and the more you try to understand, the further you move from feeling. The region between your shoulder blades is ignored by most, but it holds something deep, the blind spot of consciousness. That's where the unseen force lives. Not to be seen, but to be felt. The braid is the symbol of this power center. When you shift your attention there, even without visualization, even without effort, something changes. It's as if your frequency exits the mental chaos and enters a silent clarity. And in that silence, the field hears you clearly. It doesn't need words, it only needs the right vibration. And the right vibration comes from surrender. The mind wants to know how, but the field doesn't respond to the how. It responds to the vibrational command, a command that doesn't need explanation, just pure intention. When you activate the braid by feeling heat, a subtle pressure, or simply imagining light emerging from that spot, you exit control and enter creation. You stop being a spectator of your life and become the director, and that changes everything. Because the one who directs doesn't need to convince, only to project, and the one who projects manifest. Really is that simple. But it's only simple when it comes from the right place. This is the real law of attraction, a code of coherence between what you vibrate and what you project. When the mind is at peace and the body is present, the field responds fast. But when there's internal conflict, doubt, anxiety, urgency, the field collapses incoherently, and reality mirrors that noise. So the secret isn't in repeating phrases or imagining perfect scenes. The secret is aligning with the point that doesn't doubt, the point that simply vibrates. And that point is more accessible than ever. Are you beginning to feel it? Because from this moment on, everything starts taking shape. Manifestation isn't a wish. It's a signature, an energetic imprint you leave on the field. Every time you feel something deeply, and the field, this vast ocean of possibilities, has no preferences, it only responds. It reflects, it gives back exactly what you've emitted, with vibrational clarity, and this is where most people fail without realizing it. Because your intention might be pure, but if your emission is blurry, the outcome will be unclear. The field doesn't get it wrong. It simply mirrors, and how it mirrors depends on one thing. Vibrational coherence. Visualizing isn't enough. Feeling isn't enough either. What changes everything is the place from where you visualize, the center from which you feel. When a mental image comes from the mind, it's fragile, unstable, prone to doubt. But when it comes from the brain, it carries a kind of silent certainty, a trust that doesn't need logic, because logic belongs to the world of waiting, but vibration belongs to the world of creation. And those who vibrate with clarity create before they ever see. Think of a movie projector. It's always behind the screen, invisible to the audience, but everything that appears, everything that's revealed comes from it. The braid is that invisible projector, and your reality, the screen. What are you projecting? What's being emitted from you without your awareness? The law of attraction isn't about thinking positively. It's about emitting, precisely emitting like a laser. Direct, coherent, noise-free, that's what the braid does. It focuses your energy, purifies your intention, it organizes your frequency. Joe Dispenza speaks about this when he explains the union of elevated emotion and clear intention. He shows that when you activate specific areas of the brain connected to a desired future and combine that with the present feeling of gratitude, the field reorganizes itself, collapses possibility into reality, and all of that begins when the body becomes the brain. When feeling replaces thinking, when vibration comes before asking. The braid is the silent mechanism that allows this collapse to happen effortlessly. It's the starting point that clears mental noise and connects your intention to the field with clarity. And the more you practice this kind of emission from your back, the more natural it becomes. And the more natural it becomes, the faster the results, because the field responds to familiarity. It responds to vibrational certainty, and that certainty is being built now with every word. With every breath, with every memory. Your body is starting to awaken. There comes a moment when everything connects. When you stop trying to understand and start simply feeling. In that instant, something within you realigns. It's not a thought, it's a presence. It's as if a new part of you takes the lead, a silent part but infinitely wise. This part doesn't worry about time or methods. Simply knows, and from that knowing, true manifestation is born, because when doubt disappears, the field responds with perfection. When there is vibrational coherence, the universe acts without resistance. This is the hidden heart of the law of attraction, the point where desire no longer needs to be repeated, because it's already been encoded energetically. When you activate the braid, you're not just imagining, you're reprogramming your electromagnetic signature. You're updating the field around you. You're emitting a clear command. This is who I am now, and when that vibration stabilizes, reality has no choice but to respond. The field doesn't choose. It simply reflects with precision. Do you realize how this changes everything? It takes the power away from waiting and returns it to the now. It's no longer about wanting. It becomes about being. The law of attraction was never about what you want. It has always been about what you vibrate. And for that vibration to be heard, it must come from a silent center, a clear space free from the mind's interference. That's why the braid is so powerful. Puts you in command without needing force. It transforms your body into a pure transmitter. And in that state, the universe doesn't just hear, it responds with precision. This is the point where practice becomes nature, where technique turns into a state of being, where waiting transforms into presence. And now manifestation is no longer a future possibility. It's a vibrational certainty beginning to take form, not because you forced it, but because you aligned, and that alignment, simple, deep, and silent, is what changes everything. It's what turns the law of attraction into a spiritual science, a soul technology, a bridge between the invisible and the visible. And the more you walk this path, the more you realize you were never alone. That there is an intelligence responding to you in every moment, that there's a field of possibility waiting for you. The moment you start emitting from the right place, and that place is already here. Ready to be felt, ready to be used, ready to transform everything. When you realize that reality isn't something you need to chase, but something you're already creating all the time. Something shifts deeply, anxiety dissolves, fear loses its grip, the rush quiets down. Because you understand that creation doesn't happen out there. It begins within, and it's not through thinking. It's through feeling, it's not in wanting. It's in vibrating. Everything you're living today is a reflection of the field you emitted yesterday. And everything you'll live tomorrow is being coded right now in this very moment, by the way you feel, by the frequency you're emanating, by the energy you're anchoring. This is the deepest root of the law of attraction. Your present vibration is the mold of your reality. And no matter how much you wish for something, if your vibration is out of alignment, the field won't collapse in the right direction. That's why the place you vibrate from is so essential. TUFTI's braid gives you back the ability to emit with precision. It shifts your focus from the mind to the body. It replaces doubt with feeling, and when you feel with clarity, everything changes because vibrational. Clarity is irresistible to the quantum field. It responds, it moves, it manifests. This is where spirituality meets neuroscience. When Joe Dispenza speaks of elevating emotions and anchoring intentions, he's talking about reprogramming the body to become the brain. He's saying stop thinking, start feeling, stop asking. Start living as if it's already done. And when this practice becomes your state of being, manifestation stops being a distant dream and becomes the natural reflection of your inner coherence. The braid is the path to that. It's the key to accessing the field without noise, without effort, without distortion. When you activate this center, you're no longer waiting for the universe to move. You're moving with it. You're creating with it. Co-creating through presence. And this co-creation is silent but powerful. Because the one who vibrates with truth doesn't need to prove anything. They simply receive because they've become a vibrational match to what they desire. And maybe now you're starting to realize it was never about chasing a new reality. It was always about becoming compatible with it. It was about aligning so deeply that reality has no choice but to mirror that vibration. That is the essence of manifestation. That is the truth behind the law of attraction. And this might just be the shift that changes everything. There comes a point when you no longer need complex techniques, elaborate rituals, or detailed steps to manifest what you want. Because when your vibration becomes natural, manifestation becomes inevitable. The quantum field responds to the frequency of your identity, not the intensity of your desire. And when you vibrate from the right center, that invisible point between your shoulder blades that TUFTI's braid symbolizes, you emit something beyond words. You transmit a silent certainty the universe instantly recognizes. This is the point where the law of attraction stops being theory and becomes a living experience. You begin to realize you're no longer trying to attract. You're choosing with your vibration, choosing with your presence, choosing with the frequency you hold, even when the outer world hasn't caught up yet, because true manifestation doesn't begin when you see the result. It begins when you become the result. Before it even exists, the braid activates this state. It quiets the mind, anchors your focus, and reorganizes your vibration. It's like changing the channel of your frequency. And on that new channel, what you desire is already happening. You don't need to visualize for hours. You don't need to repeat affirmations endlessly. You just need to be there, present feeling, emitting from the right place. And when that happens, manifestation is no longer a goal. It's a consequence. It comes because you aligned, because you became one with what you desire. And the most beautiful part of all this is that it doesn't require effort. It requires surrender. It requires presence. It requires trust in the invisible. And that trust, contrary to what you might think, doesn't come from the mind, comes from the body, from the place the mind can't reach, from the vibration that stabilizes the moment you stop trying and start being the frequency, being the field, being the reality you wish to live. This is what few truly understand about the law of attraction. It's not about getting, it's about becoming. And the braid is the energetic tool that guides you through that process, an internal activation point that reorganizes your external world, a place from which you emit no doubt, no urgency, no desperation, only vibrational truth, only energetic coherence. And with that, everything aligns, everything unfolds, everything happens. Now maybe everything is starting to make sense. Maybe you're feeling a subtle memory stirring inside, as if something that's always been asleep is now beginning to awaken. It's not something new, it's something remembered. As if your body already knew this point, this silent braid has always been there waiting, watching, ready to be activated the moment you were ready, to feel without fear, to trust without proof, to vibrate without needing validation from the outside world. The beauty of true manifestation is that it doesn't depend on effort, depends on truth. And this truth doesn't need to be explained. Only felt. The braid brings you back to that feeling. It pulls you out of the mental world where everything is doubt, comparison, urgency. and takes you into the vibrational world, where everything is clarity, presence flow. In this state, you no longer need to control because you're vibrating in the right time. You no longer need to understand how, because you're vibrating. The path and the field has always responds. The law of attraction was never about waiting for the future. It has always been about living the now, with the frequency of the future you desire. When you emit that vibration with coherence, with silent conviction, you align with the timeline, where that reality already exists, and from there the universe does what it's always done. Reflect, confirm, materialize. But the source of creation has always been you. Always this hidden center within you, and along this path, you realize it was never about controlling reality, but about dancing with it, moving in harmony with the possibilities, stepping out of the role of a spectator and stepping into the role of co-creator. And the braid is that instrument, through that channel, that portal, simple yet profound, silent yet powerful. And that's why when you vibrate from it, you access a kind of command. The field instantly recognizes now you're different. Because now you know not intellectually, but vibrationally you feel it. And that feeling changes everything. It redefines your relationship with time, with desire, with waiting. And when that happens, when your vibration stabilizes, the collapse of reality becomes inevitable. Manifestation becomes natural. Life stops being a struggle and becomes the expression of your inner state. And that state is stronger than ever. It's active, it's in command. This is where everything comes together, where spirituality and science stop being opposites and start becoming complementary, where the invisible takes shape, where the field stops being a distant theory and becomes a living extension of your own being. At this point, the law of attraction reveals itself in its purest form, not as a trick to get what you want, but as a mirror of who you've become. And you, by activating the braid, stop being someone who wishes and become someone who vibrates from certainty. This certainty doesn't shout. It doesn't need to persuade. It simply vibrates. And because it vibrates with integrity, with coherence, with emotional truth, it transforms. The braid isn't a technique. It's a state of being, a way of existing in the world. With your heart aligned with the field, your body anchored in the now, and your soul ready to receive. And in that state, outcomes stop being miracles and start becoming inevitable. You've already sensed this deep inside. You've known the change wouldn't come from outside, that the turning point was in a place no one ever taught you to access, a place that now begins to pulse, a place that, though invisible, starts guiding every choice, every step, every vibration. And when you live from that center, you begin to see signs, small at first, subtle, but then intense, clear. Aligned because the field begins to respond, reality begins to listen, and everything that once felt far away begins to draw near. The right connections, the right opportunities, the right answers. And none of it is coincidence. It all comes from the vibration you've learned to hold, from the frequency you've chosen to inhabit. And that frequency is the language the universe understands. It's the bridge that connects the invisible to the visible. It's manifestation happening, not because you tried, but because you became. This is the pinnacle of the law of attraction, when desire dissolves and all that remains is being, and that being is magnetic. It doesn't force, it attracts. It doesn't seek, it vibrates. It doesn't wait. It manifests because it has fused with the field. And the field never resists coherence. It simply responds with perfection, as it always has, as it always will. Now you're ready not to begin a technique, but to remember who you've always been, because activating TUFTI's braid isn't about adding something to who you are. It's about removing what has blocked you from feeling what's always been there. It's about silencing the voices that demand urgency, logic, control. It's about slowing down to access the highest field of manifestation, the field of vibrational presence. And in this field, the law of attraction fulfills itself with fidelity. Because here there's no noise, no conflict, only pure emission. You no longer need to wait for external confirmation to know you're on the right path. Because what's happening within you is already the beginning of change. The vibration you're sustaining now / already shaping what's to come, and the more you remain in this state of vibrational coherence, the more the universe bows to your frequency. Because manifestation isn't a gift you receive. It's a reflection you project, and if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you already knew there was a silent activation point, knew there was a path beyond the mind, a path that doesn't require force, only truth, a path where you don't ask. You vibrate where you don't wait. You embody where you don't wish. You already are, and that's why reality is now beginning to rewrite itself. The braid is your direct connection to the field, an energetic channel that transmits what you feel, not what you say and what you feel now. / is already being heard, already being processed, already being translated into events, people, circumstances, because that's how the universe works. It doesn't respond to noise. It responds to clean, steady, truthful vibration. And that vibration now belongs to you. You're no longer the same, because now you know, now you feel. Now you vibrate from a place most people still don't know exists. And that alone is manifestation. That alone is proof that alone is the answer. Because the answer was never outside. It was always the vibration you emit when you align with who you are, and that alignment you've just accessed. Now you understand why so many fail at manifesting it, because they keep asking from the mind. They keep wishing with urgency. They keep trying to control the invisible, using the tools of the visible, but the quantum field doesn't respond to logic. It responds to vibration. It responds to the silent language of your internal coherence. It responds to the state of being you maintain, even when everything outside still looks the same, and it's in that space, in that vibrational stillness, that reality begins to reorganize. The braid is not a mystical concept. It's a real center of energetic emission. It's a point of access to your purest power, and when you choose to live from it, you stop negotiating with the universe. You stop asking and start commanding a command without force, without arrogance, without expectation, but with presence, with truth, with trust, and that trust vibrates. And that vibration moves the field, moves matter, moves circumstances. This is the deepest essence of the law of attraction. It's not about desiring something in the future. It's about vibrating it now, and that now is alive within you. You feel it, you recognize it, you align with it, and that alignment begins to reflect in every area of your life, not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. You got out of the way. You made space, and the field finally could respond. And now, if you haven't yet commented, this is the moment, right? I'm ready to activate my invisible power, because by doing this, you anchor that frequency. You silently declare to the field, I know who I am. And that knowing vibrates louder than any doubt. That knowing is the frequency that attracts, that manifests, that transforms. Like this video, if it touched something deep in you, share it with someone who needs to remember this power, and subscribe to this channel. Because here, spirituality is practical. Neuroscience has soul, and manifestation is just the beginning of what you're about to live. Now that you vibrate from the right point, everything is about to change, and you are ready to receive.